His was the only boat to arrive.
I think maybe it was a cow. I don't know.
There's the thank you letter from Lyndon Johnson.
There was even a monorail at one point to the east of us.
Plus, everybody forgets about pirates.
This is the coolest field trip I have ever been on.
I don't know, but I've been told, keep on dancing, won't ever get old.
Hello and welcome to the Long Island History Project, the podcast that brings you stories and interviews with people passionate about Long Island history. You can hear them all at longislandhistoryproject.org. My name is Chris Kretz, and I am your host. And our opening music is courtesy of the Homegrown String Band. Get ready, this one has singing.
Ben Backstay was our boatswain, a very merry boy, for none like he so merrily could pipe all hands ahoy.
Now this is you. Repeat the chorus.
Chip chow, cherry chow, fowler riddle diddle dow, chip chow, cherry chow, fowler rattle day.
And all together now.
Chip chow, cherry chow, fowler riddle diddle dow, chip chow, cherry chow, fowler rattle day.
Hey, that was pretty good. And now you've taken part in a tradition that stretches back centuries. We are talking today about ballads and ditties and shanties, songs sung by men on ships. We are diving deep into Long Island's storied history with whaling, particularly about the songs sung on the whaling ships leaving Sag Harbor in the mid-1800s. You'll be hearing more singing and getting a full accounting of Long Island's preeminent place in the history of whaling. We've got just the man for the job.
My name is Stephen Nicholas Sanfilippo.
So let's go find him and spend some time with today's very special guest. So, Stephen, we're sitting in your kitchen. First of all, thank you for having us in, and we're going to have a fruitful, rambling conversation wherever this goes. But we were just talking about one of the focuses, or one of the ways I found you was because I was looking at your dissertation, which was about songs sung on whaling ships out of Sag Harbor. And you tell me, is that just a slice of your interest, or how much of the whaling songs and the maritime music is your focus, or as you honed your research?
Yeah, it was an evolution. At the time that I started learning to play, I played the harmonica from about the age of 5 or 6, standard American folk song kind of things. But Susan bought me an Anglo concertina, and I took class in the 5-string banjo, and that was both in Norfolk in the early 1970s. And I also got a little dulcimer, mountain dulcimer. And I was playing a wide variety of traditional folk music. And then when I got out of the Navy, thank God, and we came back to New York and wound up teaching at the high school that Susan and I went to. And the second month there, 2 other teachers and I started a club. We called it the Folk Music Workshop. We figured we'd get 2 or 3 kids. We wound up getting about 25. And they were really interested in learning traditional folk music. This was all growing out of a time when youth was still interested in protest music. So it involved, let's say Bob Dylan, but they went beyond that into the songs of Phil Oakes, who I think is a far, far better protest writer. And even to people like Joe Hill, and then to Woody Guthrie, and into traditional Americana, what's now called Americana, but really were songs of the working people. And that was in 1974. Along came 1975, and these kids were really good. And word's getting out into the community that there's this group at the high school that's singing this historic music. Well, can you come and sing at a fair we're having, bicentennial? Yeah, we'll learn some songs from the late colonial period and the American Revolution. Well, we're having an event in the harbor in Port Jefferson. Do you know any sea songs? And then Susan worked for, I think, 34 years as the education director at the Suffolk County Historical Society in Riverhead. And she was asked to put together a presentation on the history of whaling on Long Island. So we did some research, as did some of the students. and these were exceptionally bright kids. And we wound up writing a script, and then we went out and we traveled to Sag Harbor and to East Hampton, I think Greenport. Greenport is where Susan and I went on our honeymoon in 1970. Very different from Greenport now. And we took a lot of photographs. We recorded the script with some music in it. Blowy Winds, the story of a Sag Harbor whaler. And we used the photographs in a regular old slideshow. And Susan used that for about 25 years at the museum. But that kind of pushed me into historic music of the maritime trades. The other factor involved there was that we became involved with environmental groups of the time. So here on the North Fork of Long Island, we're in Southold right now, on the North Fork, a lady named Gail Mariner Smith contacted us regarding doing some music for fundraisers for a group called Save the Bays, which was to attempt to, with some success, prevent overdevelopment along the bays of eastern Long Island. And one of the focuses was then Save Robbins Island, between the two forks, as we call them, which was successful. And at the same time, you had anti-nuclear power protests, save the farmland kind of things, the Clamshell Alliance for cleaning up Long Island Sound, and we got involved with that. Let's just lump it under, in quotes, save the whales. So I started learning whaling songs actually about whaling, and I would always introduce them. This is historical context, and we have an obligation now to save these magnificent animals. So I spent a summer, I think it was 4 days a week for 8 weeks, on Finback 2, which was a group called Okeanos, Okeanos, the Greek god of the ocean, one of the Greek gods of the ocean. And the marine biologist was an incredible person named Sam Sedov. And we would go out of Montauk Harbor twice a day for 3 hours. And I'd have a clipboard, and I would be writing down all kinds of observations being made. And then we would have about an hour or two of a class on cetacean life and sea turtle life. Mm-hmm. And for entertainment, because they funded a lot of this by taking people out on whale watches. And so for entertainment, I would also sing when they weren't seeing whales. And that pretty much clinched it for me. So just a few things to keep in mind as Long Islanders, especially if you live in Suffolk County. The first whaling company in the New World was chartered in the early 1600s at Mastic on the South Shore. The company was chartered by the English Crown, because it wasn't British yet, it was the English, to whale in the South Seas. Whaling in the Atlantic was strictly under charter by an English company. The South Seas referred to seas south of Long Island. And an Australian maritime historian has speculated rather convincingly with documentation that the term the South Seas comes from ships going south of Long Island whaling. So when you hear something like, we went to the South Seas, Tahiti, and the Marquesas, it's actually a reference to ships whaling south of Long Island and going around the world.
So we were the dividing line.
We're the dividing line. Another thing is that I've read Moby Dick many times. I think I read it the first time when I was about 12, and I had no idea what I was reading, and I really didn't like anything but the adventure of it. And I've read it as recently as 2 or 3 years ago. It's like Hamlet. Every time you read it at a different stage of your life, it becomes very different. However, I have a beef with Melville, who was a New Yorker and should have known better. Melville refers to Nantucket as the great original, but the great original, at least of European whaling, if we overlook the fact that Basques were probably whaling at Newfoundland and Nova Scotia in the 13 and 1400s, the actual original is Suffolk County, New York, particularly the South Shore of Long Island. So the original is that Poospatucks, Shinnecocks, Montaukes were expert whalemen on what's called inshore whaling, meaning you're going only a few miles out, and that it was from them that the English settlers learned inshore whaling and eventually with larger ships developed deep sea whaling. There's a book in Nantucket called the Sheepskin Book, and Nantucketers will tell you it is the oldest whaling company records, but that's wrong. The oldest is in Mastic, and it's called the Pigskin Book. And the company in Mastic was inherited and then owned and operated by a woman. So pioneering there. In the documentary called, I've got the name of it down here somewhere, but it's by Rick Burns. It's a good documentary in many ways. Rick is Ken Burns' brother. Into the Deep, I believe, is it, the American experience of whaling. And it concentrates on Nantucket, and it makes one mention only of a Long Island port. It refers to Sag Harbor as an outport, meaning very minor. But I need to point out that Sag Harbor, in many years, sent out more whale ships than Nantucket. And that second place to New Bedford was usually either Sag Harbor or New London. There's also that James Fenimore Cooper, in one of his novels, I think his last one is called The Sea Lions or the Lost Sealers. Every Long Islander should read it, especially anyone living east of the William Floyd Parkway. It is about whalers and sealers, not exactly the nicest occupation. We're quite repulsed by it. But it's two ships, both called the Sea Lion. One is out of Sag Harbor, and it is crewed entirely by East End people, and the other is out of Nantucket. And he contrasts the virtue of the Eastern Long Islanders against the avarice of the Nantucketers. It's a good adventure story, quite good, in fact. Thomas Welcome Roy's another Sag Harbor whale ship is the first into the West Arctic. Reverend Edward Hopper, the pastor of the First Presbyterian Church of Sag Harbor, called now the Old Whalers Church, the greatest example of Egyptian revival architecture in America, and still active as a Presbyterian church, composed Jesus Savior Pilot Me, which is the hymn most associated with the American whale fishery. The first missionaries to the Far East were taken in a Sag Harbor whale ship, and bringing it a little more modern, Robert Cushman Murphy, the great oceanic naturalist who lived for many years in Wading River, died in Stony Brook in the 1970s, sailed on the Daisy out of New Bedford, the last American whale ship under sail. Great book, a log book for grace. You should read it. And Sam Sidove, who was the director for Okeanos Ocean Research, even though they claim it wasn't. If you see Jaws, the naturalist played by Richard Dreyfuss, that's Sam. They say it isn't. Just as the shark hunter played by Robert Shaw is the great Frank Mundus of Montauk.
But just to go back to the life of the whaler, how much singing was going on? Like, so throughout the day, they'd be hearing constant singing only when they were hauling, sails, or?
Yeah. On a whale ship or on any ship, the Navy did not use shanties. They used orders and whistles and bells. Merchant ships and whale ships, and of course, Captain Bildad in Moby Dick gets really upset when Ishmael tells him, "I served in the merchant fleet. This is a whaler." We're not merchants. It varied from ship to ship. Dana on the Pilgrim in 2 years before the Mass seems to be annoyed that these men sang so much. And then you find other ships where there seems to be no singing or very little. And on some ships, no instruments. And on other ships, there's almost a little orchestra of a button accordion and a flute. And so the answer, in short, is it would vary from ship to ship. A lot might depend on who the captain was. I think it's in 2 years before the mast. I think it's Dana, not Melville, where the captain has mistreated the crew, and they are working very, very slowly. And the mate wants them to work faster. And he says, "Give us a shanty, give us Cheerly Man." Cheerly Man being a commonly known shanty. And he said, "But there was no cheerly in us." So it kind of not say, and then that's Melville later in Omo. It's the democratic voice of the people, and if you mistreat us, we're going to withhold.
You don't get that song.
Yeah. And also a lot would depend on if you had good singers. You need a person to lead it.
When you're recruiting your crew, who's our singer?
So the shanty man was not a billet. It was not an official position. It might be that one of the mates would occasionally lead the shanty, or that when you got on the line to haul, there was a guy who would just lead the he'd sing. He'd lead the singing, and people might not know the chorus or might sing a different chorus as long as it was getting the tempo and the rhythm. That was important. So that varies from ship to ship, as do the ballads. You might have a ship that was almost devoid of ballads because it didn't have any singers who knew them. I've come across at least one ship in which many of the men were Christian and they sang a lot of hymns. So difficult to document unless somebody actually writes down this is what we were singing.
Well, that's something I wanted to get to because it's fascinating, the genealogy of these. And so when you started singing these whaling songs, were they just laying around? There was a body of work that had been preserved that you could dip into? Or
Yeah, some had been preserved. A fellow named Eric Russell, who's still active, who lives in New Jersey now. He's an active social justice and environmentalist. And he put out a little booklet that Susan and I are urging him to republish. He did this for the 1976 op sale in New York called Songs of South Street of Ships, and he put in a lot of shanties, true shanties, work songs, but also a couple of whaling songs that weren't shanties. And then we started learning these, and they were fairly easy to come upon, at least the, the 10 or 12 most commonly known. There's some in Alan and John Lomax's American folk songs. Carl Sandburg has a couple in his compilation of American folk songs. And then we started going beyond that and finding more. We also had events that we performed at, met other singers who had been doing it for longer and learning songs from them and finding more sources. And still finding them.
How do you think of the authenticity of them? Do you have to think, is this how they actually sang it in the 1840s, or you just take it as it's come down to us? Or?
That is the ultimate question, or one of the ultimate questions, because you mentioned my dissertation, and of course, that's a PhD in history from Stony Brook University. Thank you to Bill Miller, Joe Rosenthal, Donna Rilling, and to Glenn Gordonier, who's the Albion historian up at Mystic Seaport, for having faith in me and putting up with me. Because the project that was, well, I want to write a dissertation on whaling songs. Oh, okay. Well, it wound up being analysis of the gender values in the songs that I could document onto the whaling ships. So first you have to determine, is this a real song? Where's it coming from? How has it passed to me? And how am I going to pass it on? My good friend, the late Dick Swain, wonderful folklorist and singer, always presented himself as being a conduit. I'm a conduit from the people I've learned this song from to the people who are going to sing it in the future. And the people I've learned it from are a conduit to me from earlier people. And the people who are going to learn it from me are a conduit to what's going to come. Now, how do you keep it, for want of a better word, pure? Because nothing is pure. We live in a country which has as its strength that we are not pure. So I would say that for me, there's a difference between, it's all performance. Okay, so my dissertation really deals with concepts of masculinity. And I define masculinity as what is expected of a male in a particular situation. And that would mean whatever's going on, who he's with. And of course, I am so thankful that this is starting to become obsolete. We're getting away from these stereotypes of how a man should act. Who's more masculine, John Wayne because he made war movies, or Caspar Milquetoast because he was in the Battle of the Bulge and was taken prisoner and survived? And the answer, of course, is John Wayne in the American mind. So how do you determine if the song is authentic? That's part of it. And then how has it come down to me? What has been the conduit to me? So in my master's and doctoral research, I worked with the journals of the whaling hands and idlers, as they're called, IDLERS. The idlers would be the cook, the storekeeper, the carpenter, the cooper. These were not officers, and they were not the men who were lowered in the whaleboat in the whale hunt. And they kept journals. These are not ship's logs. People call them logs. They're not. They're journals. They're diaries. I found about 100 of these journals, not online, having to read the actual journal in my hands, which was a beautiful experience. And many of them would write in the words to songs. They would never write sing to the tune of. And there's never music notation. It's very rare that there would be music notation. But you know what the song is or how it should go, because in my case, I've been doing this now for 60 years. And in some cases you say, oh, this is a version of that song. This is how it goes.
You can tell by the lyrics.
Yes,
and
you
the
can
phrasing.
tell by the lyrics. Or you just have a sense for how it goes. Susan and I found in a journal by Henry A. Harlow, and in Harlow's journal, he writes, Isle of Beauty, fare thee well.
Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Sweet Long Island, goodbye.
And then below that, he writes, Sweet Long Island, goodbye. And we decided we have to record this. It's just such a beautiful, the words are so beautiful.
Shades of evening close not o'er us. Leave our lonely bark a while. Morn or less will not restore us.
It's the origin of the term, absence makes the heart grow fonder. That's the first time it's documented as being used. Well, we didn't know that at the time. We just found that line in there.
Dark a shadow round us hover. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well.
This was pre-internet Google. Nobody knew this song. So we made up how we thought it should go. And then about 20 years later, we found it online. and we had it almost note for note.
It's the hour when happy faces smile around the table.
Quite frankly, I like our version better.
Who will fill our vacant places? Who will sing our songs tonight?
The other thing is that the words would vary, and it's wonderful. There's a great book called Songs the Whalemen Sang, compiled by a fellow named Gale, G-A-L-E, Huntington. This was published 40 years ago, I guess, maybe even more. And he went to libraries throughout New England. Fortunately for me, he didn't come to Long Island. So when I was finding things, they were, so to speak, new. And one of the things I found was there was a man on a whale ship out of New Bedford called the Cortez. And he's at sea at the same time as a man named Lewis Jones is on the whaling bark Hamilton out of Sag Harbor, 1845 to 1848. Lewis Jones wrote down the words to 30 songs he heard. They're not original songs. He just writes down the words to songs. He might have only heard them one time. It's rare that he would ask the singer, can you repeat the song for me, word for word? And the fellow on the Cortez wrote 37 songs, and I believe 12 of them are the same song.
Okay, so you can compare them.
The words are different here and there. So it's showing that they're hearing this out of oral tradition. And what they're writing down might not be exactly what they heard.
This might not be a fair question, but what's the song you like to sing the most?
I like the ditties if I'm with a group, you know. And to use a famous English one that dates from about 1800, pleasant and delightful. It was pleasant and delightful on that midsummer morn when the green fields and the meadows, they lay buried in corn. And the blackbirds and the thrushes sang on every green tree. And the larks, they sang melodious at the dawning of the day. And then everybody sings, and the larks, they sang melodious. And the larks, they sang melodious. And the larks, they sang melodious at the dawning of the day. Another one from the English. I'm not doing any out of the Sag Harbor whale fishery here right now, but I'm certain that these had gotten into the American seaman and whale fishery as well. There's one called Ben Backstay, which was actually composed ashore by a non-sailor, and the sailors liked it. Ben Backstay was our boatswain, a very merry boy, for none like he so merrily could pipe all hands ahoy. And then it goes through that. And then the chorus is, chip chow, cherry chow, fowler riddle diddle dow, chip chow, cherry chow, fowler rattle day, chip chow, cherry chow, fowler riddle diddle dow, chip chow, cherry chow, fowler rattle day. So if you see Master and Commander with all these macho guys, that's what they're singing. Yeah. I like the ditties. I love to sing the ballads, but you have to have the right audience. And shanties are great if you have an audience that sings.
Why? Because you need more.
You have to have everybody sing. Okay. It's a call and response song.
Okay.
So if I sing, when I was a little lad, so my mother told me, and everybody's got to sing, way, haul away, well, haul away, Joe. And it's a hauling shanty. But if you're doing that in a performance at a shanty sing, and nobody sings.
Yeah, it kind of
because actually, while they're singing, the shanty man isn't. So for shanties, you have to have a good singing group. So the answer is it depends. It depends on the audience. But then there's one called On Gosport Beach, and I love to use it as an example of how we lead in from a stereotype and songs surprise us. And in my dissertation, I use On Gosport Beach as an example of the malleability of these kind of relations and of conceptions of masculinity and femininity. On Gosport Beach I landed, a place of noted fame. I called for a bottle of brandy to treat my flashy dame. Her outer rigging it was silk, her spencer scarlet red.
The day was spent in sweet content, and at night we went to bed.
The classic sailor picking up a prostitute.
Right.
And we all know where it's going to lead. He's going to go to sea and she's going to be pregnant. And no. The next morning they have a conversation and they fall in love.
They both shook hands and parted. Tears from her eyes did flow. She appeared quite broken-hearted. With him she could not go. But as a token of true love, her gold ring she broke in two. One half she gave to her own true love, saying, adieu, sweet lad, adieu.
And he leaves for sea and comes back with his pay. And to the church they hasten, the marriage not to tie.
The marriage not to tie. Oh, may they both live happy until the day they die.
Then you have something like The Demon Lover's Return, in which, what's the other name for that? But that's the song in which she waits patiently and he returns. She says, well, I haven't been faithful. I've been married and I have a baby. I've lately married, it's the Ballad of the House Carpenter. I've lately married a house carpenter, and I think he's a fine young man. Well, if we use religious analogy, we know who the carpenter is, don't we?
Ah, okay.
And so he entices her with material well-being to abandon her husband and baby and go to sea with him. And of course, he turns out to be the devil, and they sink. What hills are those? Those are the hills of heaven, and there you and I may never go. What hills are these? These are the hills of hell, and there you and I must ever go. So these are some heavy-duty songs.
Were you surprised at the variety of them, or is that something to mention, that it's not just your standard ballads, but there's this nuances throughout all this?
Even though I started looking into the Sag Harbor Greenport journals around 1990, so I had familiarity, I was still surprised at how old many of the songs were that had already survived at least 100 years in oral tradition, because you find different versions of them, and different versions of them at sea in some of the collections of whalemen's songs.
Just to get to maybe a little bit about the cruise, you mentioned you're looking at these journals. Did you find it odd, or is it odd that there were these sort of literate men on these voyages that were journaling and writing down these observations?
It's a wonderful question, because one of the hardest parts of singing this music, either at a festival or in a formal concert, or as I often do, I lecture, and my lectures wind up being concerts, and my concerts wind up being lectures, is that you have to get by the stereotypes. People have, and I found this in college, even teaching at what's called Sunrise Senior College, which is for people 50 and over at the University of Maine at Machias. People have a conception of what the songs of the sea are. They call them all shanties. It's shanty, not chanty. And you shouldn't say sea shanty. It's a shanty. It's a sailor's work song. But, so they must all be about womanizing. They've now all become pirate songs, right? So you have a song like 310 written about 1930 about a fishing disaster off the coast of England, and people will tell you, oh, it's a pirate song from the 1600s. That's what pirates sang. It's a completely different thing. I don't want to get into that.
Okay.
But you have to get by that. So what's your question?
Well, so I guess the guys on the ships writing these journals.
Okay, yeah. So one of the I guess the misconceptions is that they were a bunch of illiterates. Sailors, seamen, American seamen in the late colonial period through the 1900s had a higher literacy rate than most of the country. Now, eastern Long Island's whale fishery So let's say Suffolk County, because we need to include our far western sister port of Cold Spring Harbor. Remembering that New York City sent out whale ships. Hudson, New York, Kingston, New York, Poughkeepsie sent out whale ships. Phonetically, Poughkeepsie spelled in one of the Whaleman's Journal, P-A-K-I-P-S-Y. And I'm looking at it and saying, oh, that's Poughkeepsie. But dealing, as I do, with Greenport and Sag Harbor, and reading the journals of the hands, most of whom would have been between the ages of 15 and about 23 or 24. They were what I call in my dissertation Yankee boys. They were educated. And this is a big difference between Greenport and Sag Harbor and the New England ports. My good friend Glenn Gordonier up at Mystic Seaport told me that Stonington, Connecticut, by about 1830, was sending out almost nobody local. They were all coming from elsewhere. Nantucket, if we reference Moby Dick, Melville sets up this crew that is this mixture of the world. I think he exaggerates it. But I think he only has a couple of Nantucketers on it. And that's fairly accurate. Nantucket was not sending out Nantucket crews. They were crews from elsewhere.
Okay.
New Bedford is this huge megalopolis of its time. It's one of the great world cities.
So they're attracting other people to come to sign up for their
getting
ships.
people. Yeah. Greenport and Sag Harbor whale fishery ends in 1871, and right up until then, they are sending out predominantly local crews of the English descendants of the early English settlers, what's called on the East End the 1640 families in Southold and Southampton, from those puritanical people that came down from Connecticut in 1640. They are sending out Shinnecock and Montauk. They're sending out people from the free African American community. And the captains and the mates, with only one exception I found, who was of Dutch ancestry from, as we say here, up the island. He was from Brookhaven. The captains and the mates are all of these early English families of the East End of Long Island. I had the experience where I was doing research at the Southampton Historical Society, and I had gone through 4 journals that day. And when I left, and I'm driving down the road, and 4 streets in a row were the surnames of the 4 journals I had read. Many of them had gone to academies, which we would perhaps now call prep schools. But at a time when, their handwriting is so beautiful. It's calligraphy. And their writing, for most of them, is precise and just a joy to read.
Yeah, let me ask you on that. So, and this, I'm estimating, you tell me if I'm wrong, but so they would be joining up for a boatload of, say, 20 to 30 guys and a voyage that would last 3 years around, right?
Pretty accurate, yeah.
Was it that profitable that they would give up that much of their life to go out and come back on?
It wasn't profitable for them.
Okay. Or enticing enough that they would get something out of it.
Yeah, well, so of course the whaling industry is profitable, and all you need to do is go into Southampton and East Hampton and Sag Harbor and look at some of those old houses that are paid for with the profits of the whaling industry. For a Native American or an African American who would often be what were called the boat steerers, the harpooneers, they were well paid. They received a fairly sizable, perhaps a 1/60th of the profits of the voyage, whereas a green hand might be receiving a 200th of the profits. So it was something for the young Yankee boys, as I call them, a passage to manhood. Kind of like the guy that out of high school joins the Marines, and then he gets out And he goes on with life. For a Native American or an African American who would, on probably his second voyage, advance to a position as the boat steerer, the harpooner, fairly good pay, he had a position of rank and of fairly good pay compared to what he might make ashore.
On land, yeah.
It was also interesting that for them, so you have the cases where you have an African American or Native American boat steerer, harpooner, and if I could just mention one person, Pierce Conser, who is probably the best known African American whaleman, a person well worth knowing. Pierce Conser is not only accompanies Mercator Cooper ashore when in 1845 the whale ship Manhattan rescues some shipwrecked Japanese sailors a couple of hundred miles off the coast of Japan and takes them into Yokohama. So we have, to the closed shogunate of Japan, in comes this Yankee whale ship under Captain Mercator Cooper, the Manhattan out of Sag Harbor, and they go ashore. And one of the men he takes ashore with him is his harpooner, in the captain's boat, Pierce Conser. And the Japanese people are fascinated by this black man who accompanies the captain ashore. And there are Japanese paintings of Conser, and they're just fascinating. And he... I believe Pierce Conser was born into slavery and manumitted and then makes a career as a whaleman and is so well established in Southampton that he is voted a member of the Southampton Presbyterian Church. This is at a time when you didn't become a member of a church by showing up on a Sunday. You had to be voted as a member. So and that's part of the whale fishery. And of the sea in general, compared to the land trades. There tends to be, not at the highest rank, but in the middle and the lower, this racial and ethnic and class inversion.
Just to go back, like in terms of your development, you're getting into folk music and growing up when you did, where you did, what was music in your life then? If we go back to like high school, even earlier.
1948.
Yep.
I had a boyhood that was divided between Bushwick and inner city Brooklyn. It's definitely not Bensonhurst or another area where people actually lived in one-family houses. If you think of All in the Family and the one-story house or the one-family house or the King of Queens, I mean, that's where the rich people lived. They didn't live in the tenements. And my grandparents and some of their relatives had bought a bunch of abandoned farmland in Ridge, 63 miles from Brooklyn Bridge in the 1940s, about $50 an acre. And they put up a bungalow. And I had this wonderful boyhood divided between the gutter in Bushwick and the woods in Ridge, when Ridge had 300 people and it was mostly potato farms. So music. My parents were older. Most of the kids I grew up with, their parents were 18 to 22 or 23 years older than them. My parents were 35 years older than me. Their tastes were towards what are called now the standards. So I grew up hearing the pitch-perfect voice of Joe Stafford. Also, they listened to a lot of the Russian romantic composers.
Okay.
Tchaikovsky, Rimsky-Korsakov, and even Rachmaninoff. And then there was the Saturday opera. And my father, I didn't learn enough of the songs, but my father and his father and my father's first cousin would sing Sicilian songs and some Neapolitan art songs. So the Sicilian folk songs were in kind of an archaic Sicilian from the province of Trapani in the northwest of Sicily.
Did that intrigue you, these old folk songs?
It always did. And then when I was about 12, I discovered Sarah Vaughan, Dinah Washington. If you want to hear perfection, listen to Dinah Washington singing What a Difference a Day Makes. The pronunciation, the enunciation, the phrasing. You can hear that now. Well, she's not really popular, although she's well known, Diana Krall. The phrasing, as she says, it's all in the timing. Anyway, so in high school, I just stopped listening to the music that was being marketed to teenagers. I just didn't care for it. So I was on the basketball team. Most of my teammates were what we called colored or Negro. I would never call them black or African. Now I will say my African-American teammates. And we would sing on the team bus, and we sang a lot of Motown. And sometimes I would take the lead. Not as good as Smokey Robinson.
So did you feel obviously you were singing, did you think you had a good voice?
I was a good bus singer. A fellow I went to junior high school told me I was one of the best bus singers he ever heard. And I don't like the sound of my voice. When the Beatles came out, I didn't even know about them. I was too busy listening to the Temptations. And Susan and I started going out together in high school, and she had a similar, not mainstream teenage music in her family. Her mother is a German immigrant, and her grandmother would sing a lot of German folk songs, and in the car they would sing German folk songs. And Susan's father is Irish American, and her mother one year decided that this year we're all going to be Irish, so they started listening to the Clancy Brothers. So by the time we were in college, we were listening to Rimsky-Korsakov and Tchaikovsky and the Clancy Brothers and Frank Sinatra.
Okay, the rich mix.
And it was while I was in the Navy after college and I was stationed in Norfolk, Virginia, that I had the wonderful, by chance, opportunity to meet an old Coast Guardsman. He was about 8 years older than me, maybe less than that. But he had been in the Coast Guard, a fellow named Bob Zentz, Z-E-N-T-Z. He's still living. He's a wonderful performer and historian, a native of Norfolk, Virginia. And he opened a little guitar, he called it Ramblin' Conrad's Guitar Shop and Folklore Center, right opposite Old Dominion University, which at the time was a very small college. It's now huge. And a buddy of mine in the Navy said, "You like folk music?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, there's going to be a course offered at Old Dominion. It meets 4 times, 2 hours, once a week, and it's on learning to play the banjo." Okay, I said I'd go. And I met Bob, and then Susan met Bob, and it changed her life. And he's been a guest. I think he was actually in this house. I know he was at my parents' house as a guest, and he's been up to see us a couple of times in Maine, where Susan and I live part of the year, including usually most of the winter. We did not opt for Florida.
Okay.
We opted for cold. You can always add clothing when it's cold. You can't take off.
I love that the through line is that you're always going the road less traveled, or you're finding
the road. Yeah, it's Frost's poem. It's misunderstood, I think. And I took the road less traveled, and that has made all the difference. And it's kind of that we shouldn't be a conformist. Take the road less traveled. I don't think it's saying that. I think it's saying, hey, stupid, why don't you just take the road more traveled? It's a lot easier. Hey, Sanfilippo, why don't you just learn to play some rock music and you can make a lot of money instead of that you're now 77 and you're lucky if you get $100 by learning to play the whatever it is that you're playing that day, the Anglo concertina. But the road less traveled leads you to things that you sounds intuitive. It leads you to things you wouldn't otherwise do and know. Susan and I have performed over the years. Susan's a wonderful singer. She's not performing anymore. But we got to sing at a festival probably 35 years ago for the opening to visitors of the Montauk Point Lighthouse. And we got to sleep overnight in the keeper's house all the way on the top floor. And it was a very windy night. And it was kind of spooky and scary. And we're saying, this is wonderful that we get to do things like this.
And a big thank you to Stephen and his wife Susan for inviting me into their home. It was a fascinating conversation. If you want to follow along on his journey, the best way to do that is to subscribe to his Sea Songs newsletter. You can email seasonghistory@gmail.com. He will start sending that to you monthly. Lots of great information and tidbits in there. If you want to catch Stephen, we're recording this or posting this early May 2026. So if we are in the same timeline, here's some dates you can catch him on the island. Friday, May 15th, he'll be at Southold Free Library. Thursday, May 21st, he's at the Greater Patchogue Historical Society Museum in the basement of the Carnegie Library, as we know. Sunday, May 24th, he'll be at the Railroad Museum in Greenport. So check each of those institutions for the actual times. And just to emphasize the importance of whaling and sort of how it's been forgotten, you know, we say in the opening everyone forgets about pirates, but everyone forgets about whaling. So just a few footnotes from episodes of the past in case you're interested. I would say one of the major voices in Long Island history on whaling would be John Strong, who we interviewed back on episode 82.
Well, the big question that often comes up is to what extent were the Indians killing whales before the Europeans arrived?
And then there was our conversation back on episode 112 with Brenna McCormick Thompson, who is the curator of education at the Whaling Museum in Cold Spring Harbor.
We've got a great, really heavy iron harpoon that is mangled, and that would occur when you stabbed a whale with a harpoon, and the whale maybe didn't want to be stabbed with the harpoon.
We will have links in our show notes to more information. Stephen went through a whole reading list of great sources, so we will compile those if you want to read any of those fictional first-person and other accounts of whaling. That's at longislandhistoryproject.org. Our outro music, the first one was Capering by the Blue Dot Sessions, used under an Attribution 4.0 international license. But we're going to go out with a bonus, the full rendition of Isle of Beauty, as performed by Susan and Stephen Sanfilippo. This is the version that's hosted online by the Long Island History Journal, so we thank them for providing that. That does it for this episode, but as always, thank you for listening.
Isle of Beauty, fare thee well, sweet Long Island, goodbye. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well, sweet Long Island, goodbye. Shades of evening, close not o'er us, leave our lonely bark a while. More nor less will not restore us, yonder dim and distant isle. Still my fancy can discover sunny spots where friends may dwell. Dark a shadow round us hover, Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well, sweet Long Island, goodbye. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well, sweet Long Island, goodbye. 'Tis the hour when happy faces smile around the taper's light. Who will fill our vacant places? Who will sing our songs tonight? Through the mist that floats above us, faintly sounds the vesper bell, like a voice from those who love us, breathing fondly, fare thee well. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Sweet Long Island, goodbye. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Sweet Long Island, goodbye. When the waves are round me breaking, as I pace the deck alone, and my eye in vain is seeking some green leaf to rest upon, what would I not give to wander where my old companions dwell? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Sweet Long Island, goodbye. Isle of Beauty, fare thee well. Sweet Long Island, goodbye.